This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, everybody. This is Greg Morton. It is Saturday, January 14th, 2023, and this is the weekend growth stock update for Canslim investors, brought to you by the Greenville Eastside Meetup Group and the Stockyard Meetup Group. As always, this is for educational purposes only, not recommending any stocks or securities to buy or sell, and all investing has substantial risk of big losses, so want to learn first and only then invest. So today, let's look at the M factor like we always do, current market review, and talk about whether we do see a character trend change in the works currently. We'll talk about the action plan, look at some stock charts, and share a few comments for those out of MarketSmith, and then mention our upcoming meeting, which will be Wednesday of this week, which is the longer monthly meetings. So the M factor. As always, O'Neill tells us that we want to diagnose, we want to interpret, we don't want to predict, and we want to look at three things in order to make our diagnosis: the action of leading stocks, actions of stocks owned, and then the market pulse, distribution day count, price and volume on the indexes, all of which I track in the coloring book. So let's hop over there and look at those. Go to the indexes first. So here's the NASDAQ. We immediately see some improvement this week. We see volume picking up. We see 5 days up in a row. We see three nice strong finishes at the top of the trading range the last 3 days. See strong volume on Thursday. And then we are back above three of the moving average lines, having retaken the 50. So that's constructive. We want to see that hold. Nice to see the 10 and 21 cross over each other and then both cross over the 50, and still that declining 200-day looms ahead, but still decent looking week. Let's look at it on the weekly. Same thing, nice weekly bar on above average volume. Here we had a higher low than over here, so it'd be nice now to see a higher high and the uptrend continue. And then the S&P 500 daily actually came back above the 200, have the 10 and 21 moving up. Hopefully we'll cross over the 50. So this is looking constructive also. Again, was up 4 days this week with decent closing range each of those 4 days. NYSE, very strong above all moving average lines. 200 hasn't turned back up yet, but this is looking good. Does not have the volume support that the other indexes had. The Dow, 4 days up in a row, good closing range. Also above all four moving average lines, and the 10 and 21 are crossing upward over the 50. Small cap, Russell, back above all four moving average lines, volume coming in, good strong daily closes. S&P 600, back above all four moving average lines, and the 10 and 21, hopefully those will all get stacked in the correct order soon. So we're seeing some constructive action for sure this week on the indexes. If we jump over to the coloring book, same thing. By Wednesday, all the MMTS had gone green. We had our follow through days at the end of the week before, and then this week we had subsequent follow through days on both the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. That's constructive. Market school exposure went back to 3, and we've had 4 days of trend of net new highs. It's really 6 days total, but Matt turns it dark green after you have 2 days in a row, turns on the third day. The buy sell count is still sort of against us. I have 7 buying days and 11 selling days. But again, with the other improvements, that's not going to take on much significance. And then we also had some early entries and breakouts and gaps this week. So you can review those charts there that are in dark green. So that's looking good. Group teaching portfolio, we have 2 longs. The market's improving, kind of hit the shorts this week. Monday is a holiday, and oh shoot, the data feed. Sometimes it doesn't work. Google dropped it, but I think we're down like 1.5% for the year. So yeah, the data feed is not pulling in the current prices. It was working earlier when I was getting ready for the meeting. So that'll pick up. So that was those things. Um, Last couple weekends, I've said we need to ask the correct questions. So we went through these. Has there been a valid follow-through day? The window of opportunity open as the Fed pivoted? Buying days higher than selling days? Do we have new highs? How are the moving average lines? And we also needed to see, in addition to one of these or more of those, um, top-notch fundamental Canslim stock set up in full and proper basis. So let's now, these answers have been no the last 2 weekends. Let's look at it this weekend. Has there been a valid follow-through day? Yes, on all 3 indexes, and we've had subsequent follow-through days on 2. Has the window of opportunity opened? Yes. Has the Fed pivoted? No, but expectations have suddenly dropped to just a quarter point hike at the next meeting, followed by a quarter point after that. So that first quarter point, if that happens, that is a little break there. Is the buying day count higher than the selling day? No. Is there a trend of new highs exceeding new lows? Yes. Are the index constructive in light of the moving average lines? I should have said definitely improving, because we had some that were above all 4. And the last question, do we see this? So I would say that we do. There's more and more setups this weekend, just doing the weekend routine and getting going on it. Within the Growth 250, the RS New High list had 65 stocks on it to look at. Fundamental Strength list had 17, Technical Strength had 31, and the Near Pivot list had 53. Of course, there's some overlap between some of those lists, but these are higher numbers than they have been recently. And then also in the newspaper, the number of stocks in the IPO list and the sector leaders list are improving in quantity also. So we're just seeing nice confirmation of all the things we just looked at. So current market thoughts, what a difference a week can make. Much more constructive action in several areas, indicating it looks like a change in the trend is underway. It may just be a tradable rally, might not be kicking off a new long-term bull market yet, but it could evolve into more. And of course, it could go the other way too and kick us right back out. But for right now, it's looked better than it has for some time now. Weekend routine is super important. And so the current market signs are me sort of the same as last weekend. Go button zone. Still want to proceed cautiously. Don't plunge. Plungers die, as Scott O'Neill was fond of saying. And also, as we make decisions that are working, that begets more potentially good decisions. Want to be disciplined. Our goal is only to own, 6 to 10 stocks totally. So be picky. They need to earn the right to get our money to be in our portfolio. We don't even want any forced trades, and we don't want any audibles. So let's hop back to Market Smith real quick and look at a few charts I just pulled in here for different reasons. So these first two were actually at the top of my watch list last weekend, and promptly right out of the gate on Monday, Neurocream Biosciences just got creamed. Hadn't triggered an entry, no harm, no foul. Was looking for it to set up. SMCI got creamed the second day of the week, so that was not very positive. If we look at POD weekly, we see a nice 13% flat base there, and a double bottom base has now picked up on the daily chart. So sort of wedging up, volume sort of going down, so that's not real constructive. Still have a ways till earnings. So this one's looking good. Very strong Canslim numbers the last quarter. Good 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the top rated funds in it. So that's looking good. MedPace, has sort of come out of this, could have done a horizontal trend line, early entry, and maybe it'll tighten up, form a little handle here. So it's looking constructive, definitely a watch list worthy stock. Deere, not a traditional growth stock, but as Alyssa was bringing us up to speed on, they were at the CES show with new stuff. So that's kind of interesting, and it keeps popping up in the newspaper and in the list. Axon, which is the old Taser, nice 16% deep cup setting up there. Did have a decline in earnings, not a loss, decline in earnings. So it's down 49% from the prior quarter a year ago. So would need to look at it, but it's coming up the right side of this base with volume. So it'd be nice to see a handle forming here. Again, you have some fund sponsorship, decent return on equity, pre-tax margins. CPRX, this was one we had in the group teaching portfolio, exited the last of it at the 20% profit goal right there. Really like this stock. Just need a new base or some sort of proper entry, which would most hopefully be a new base. ACLS, here's one went up, kind of chopped around for a while, but then ran right up, hit the 20 to 25% profit goal. So even though stocks we're not in are doing well, it's important to know some are doing well. And so nice, again, Canslim numbers on that one. ELF, this one had a rough week. I know a lot of Canslim investors kind of entered it around the follow-through day because it popped up nicely. But for me, this one was not on my, well, it did, had a flat base on the weekly chart. I'm sorry. But on the daily, it looked extended. So, and it just came off, got slammed in big volume. So people would have exited per their rules. And then solar showing some life, which the ETF for solar just confirms that. Array, Shoals, there's companies setting up again within that group, and we're seeing some strength. And I know there's funding supposed to be coming into that from the IRA. So just kind of a group of charts. When we have our meeting on Wednesday, we'll look and see what I ended up with on the top tier of my watch list this week. So we did that. Still plenty of things to do. Work on your post analysis for 2022. This week, the Boston IBD group had its annual Rose and Thorn event where I think there were 6 of us that spoke and talked about a good trade and a bad trade and the importance of post analysis. I don't know if there's a link out there to that yet. I'll have to check with John. What was your biggest trading mistake in 2022? And I gave you a list of common ones: not having written sell rules, not cutting your losses short, not having a weekend routine, not keeping good records. And a lot of these were talked about at the Rose and Thorn presentation by various speakers, or buying at incorrect points on the chart. So some reminders as we head into this week. EPS season really cranks up this week and more so the next week. It's a great time for companies to air the dirty laundry. A lot of things to blame things on: recession, interest rates, supply chain. Got a whole lot of great scapegoats. So you're going to see that happening, but it's also a viable gap up hunting ground if the M improves, which it has. So watch for what stocks perform cleanly while others are airing their dirty laundry. And then we do have the Fed meeting coming up on January 31st, February 1st. We just keep an eye on that. I think overall still volatile, but the wind has shifted a bit in our favor. So we have our big monthly meeting this Wednesday. You can register for that at the Stockyard site, unless you signed up for that October meeting that I had to cancel. So all those people will be included in this one. The monthly meetings are $12. You can attend live if you want to. You don't have to. Includes a recording, slide deck, links to any webinars, articles that come up during the meeting. And if you're a first-time registrant, I send you a courtesy copy of really would be this September meeting. So we will look at the impactor like we normally do, although I covered it pretty well this weekend. We'll have some mini teaching segments, talk about Market Smith tips and tricks or updates. We'll look through some of our chart list. We'll look at this week's watch list, and then we'll go into detail on a short thesis looking at a SPAC. And then if we have time, we'll did it at Rose and Thorn, post and present analysis in the GTP, and the IPO market is still pretty much dead. So here's a list of prior webinars that are available. If you don't have written sell rules, those three at the bottom are really good. Or if you don't have a weekend routine, I covered that in 2 meetings in September and October. So if you're interested in ordering those, you can just shoot me an email and I'll tell you how to do that. Those are $15 a meeting. And then here's the meetup websites. You can follow me on Twitter. So I post the coloring book almost every day. And then you're on my YouTube page. So like and subscribe while you're there and check out the other videos. So that's it. Have a great weekend routine. You have a holiday Monday, market's closed. So you got 3 days to pour over the charts and build that tip top watch list. That's it. I'm out of here. Y'all have a good one.